Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mademoiselle Lina, and you can find me online at www.conjureknits.com. Today, we are here to do the Leo TarotScope for January 2022, and we are going to be using the Fairy Oracle cards by Brian Froud. Before we get started, I would like to say thank you for viewing my video. And if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and click on the little bell so that you'll receive notifications of when I go live or upload new videos. I do try to stay pretty busy here on my channel. I do all 12 zodiac signs for the monthly tarot scopes. On Sundays, we have Conjure Crew with myself, Mambo Tanya, and the Black Bonnet Witch. On Mondays, I upload the weekly forecast. Every day, I do a card of the day reveal. On Wednesdays, we have the virtual book club. We are currently reading the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. It has been so much fun following Richard and Kaylin on their adventures, so you are definitely going to want to join us for that. I also pop on from time to time and do free readings, so make sure you get my notifications by clicking that little bell. Alright, I feel that I have rambled on long enough. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Card number 1. What is the challenge for this month? And we have the Lam. This is about unconditional giving and unconditional receiving. She is the Lam in the same way that the MacGregor is the chief of the clan MacGregor, the Lam of all Lams. The Lam is a charitable soul in the old sense of the word charity, which is loving and giving. She knows the joy of giving without expectation of return. From practicing this ourselves, we learn that there always is a return, often from the least expected source. The universe likes to keep its accounts up to date, and the Lam's job is to encourage us to keep the credit side of our cosmic accounts balanced by freely giving. We have been given the earth, the sun, the stars, and the moon. We have been given trees and flowers and things to eat, and a multitude of prospective friends. It's going to take a considerable amount of generosity to come into balance with all those gifts we have already received. When we fall out of balance in what we give and what we receive, we can have constipation or diarrhea of the spirit. Spiritual constipation makes us toxic and bloated and unable to deal with more intake. Spiritual diarrhea makes us energetically depleted, limp, and needy. The spiritual forms of these particular malfunctions are entirely a result of our choices about balancing our giving and receiving. You may think you have it right, but if things are not going well for you, the Lam suggests you think again. If you are pushing and pushing at something, it can often help greatly just to back off, relax about it, and let the energy flow. If at the same time that you back up from your efforts, you put energy into the universe elsewhere, then energy just naturally has to flow back to you in the most appropriate and generous form. The universe also has to keep its accounts balanced. Studying the Lam's picture, someone once told me, the Lam is still bugging me. She looks passive, but watchful. I think she feels that this giving business needs a bit more explanation. It is about being ready to do that sometimes quite small thing just when it is needed. A pinch of fairy dust in just the right place, at just the right time works wonders, but big clouds of fairy dust just makes everyone sneeze. This is true. Sometimes a small bit of helpfulness now prevents a big need later, and sometimes a big thing is needed right from the beginning. Someone else noted that the Lam's wings looked a bit tattered and wondered if this indicated that it is sometimes appropriate to give until it hurts. Yes, it is, the Lam says. Not as a habit, not as a sort of martyrdom, but only on the rare occasions when it is truly needed. One of the Lam's charming customs is to give through whatever pair of hands is nearest, providing they allow her to do so. Do you let the Lam give through your hands, or do you put them in your pockets and hold back, holding on to what is yours? If so, you are missing a lot of fun, some interesting experiences, and spiritual growth. Card number 2. What positive energies can I embrace this month? And we have Epona's Wild Daughter. This is about inner shadows, nightmares, depression, madness, growth. In the bleakest part of the night, Dorcha comes, wearing her crown of fairy stars. She kneels on the ancient owl, bearer of the hidden wisdom of the night, and facing into the past with a clear, unflinching gaze, she holds us. We are held immobile, inwardly focused, by her comforting yet implacable light-filled hands. She asks riddles that often seem impossible to answer at first, and yet she will not let us go until we find the solutions within ourselves. She is one of the great teachers of fairy, but her method of teaching makes Socrates' questions look like child's play. We must expect this of Dorcha because her lessons are about the shadow side of ourselves, the things we fear, our insecurities, self-doubts, and denials. She is a practitioner of tough love therapy. Dorcha is the wild daughter of Epona, Lady of the Horse and the Moon, and she takes us through the dark, hidden side of ourselves and into healing and fulfillment. From the temporary madness of rage, premenstrual tension, or great stress to the deeper and longer psychoses, she drives us on the journey through our internal hells. When we complete the journey, we are transfigured and transformed, transcending our old selves. We can never be frightened by that darkness again, whether our own or that of others. But until that journey is fully complete, we exist in a state of vulnerability, which is where most of us are most of the time. Notice, please, that it is she and not her more gentle sister, Laced, who wears the crown of stars, a mark of service, compassion, and great wisdom. Dorcha's element is moonlight, the fifth element, which tempers and tests the spirit. Through her teaching, our inner conflicts and struggles become, as they are resolved, our greatest strengths. Card number 3. What negative energies do I need to negotiate this month? And we have the Maiden. This is about auspicious beginnings, birth, growth, joy, hope. From her crown of light to her star-jeweled toes, the Maiden is pure joy. She is the face of the force that generates growth throughout all the worlds. When she smiles, troubles melt. Where she dances, flowers spring from the ground and burst into bloom. It is from the Maiden that the Pixies learned the dance that keeps the other world turning, and probably our world, too, for that matter. She is newly born every morning, and she carols her plangent song of growth for all beings in all the worlds. She sees the magic and the light in everything, and takes endless delight in it. Yet, even though the Maiden is so wonderful and powerful, she is a child and she needs to be cared for, nurtured, and cherished. When she takes the form of a flower, someone must see that she gets enough water and sun. Whenever we look after something new or young, we are caring for the Maiden, whether she is in the form of a blossom, a sapling, a baby, or a new idea. She, in turn, is likely to switch between joyfully and gratefully receiving such nurturing and insisting on an independence that she really isn't ready for yet. She knows, deep within herself, what she needs to do and become, and she moves toward this with the directness of a child. The Maiden also has the simplicity and curiosity of a child, seeing with unclouded eyes. She has an openness to life, love, new things, and new experiences. Every moment with her is an adventure, filled with playfulness and hope. Innocent, she is awakening to and learning about the world. Much of her learning comes with laughter and silly jokes, and she trusts what life gives her. Every time we allow ourselves to be filled with joy, we become more like the Maiden. Card number 4. What do I need to make time for this month? And we have undressing of a salad. This is about balance, avoiding extremes, achieving the impossible, being impossible. Brian called this painting the dressing of a salad, but in an earlier stage of the Good Fairies / Bad Fairies manuscript, it was the undressing of a salad. I've combined the names because they show us important aspects of the card. The dressing of a salad requires a good balance. Disparate elements must blend into a tasty whole. The undressing of a salad requires truly remarkable adroitness. At first, one might think it impossible, but Adroito, whom we see busily balancing magical balls, is the fairy of doing impossible things. He is also the fairy of being impossible and the fairy of avoiding extremes. Sound impossible? Well, of course it is. Both Adroito and Sally, crouched above him, are intently focused on balancing things, and the large gnome in the center finds this very amusing. He looks in two directions at once, seeing the impossibility of keeping things that are in constant motion in balance at all times, like the juggling act of life. Of course, we fall out of balance. Of course, we occasionally drop the ball. Sometimes we drop the ball, or a bird flies by and snatches it from us, and we just have to invent another one. Sometimes this seems as impossible as undressing a salad. There are times when we have to turn bad luck into good, and that isn't always easy, especially if someone else seems determined to turn good luck into bad. Everything is integrating and disintegrating at the same time. Confusion is rife, but we still try to create order and put things into balance. The whole universe is hurtling through time at an astonishing rate, and it is very difficult to keep balance on a rapidly moving object, especially as it appears to lurch unpredictably from time to time. Sooner or later, Adroito or Sally, or both, will drop their balls. The sulky-looking fellow on the left is clearly waiting to snatch one or two so that he can play too, or maybe just so that Adroito and Sally cannot. My money is on Adroito, though. He is smart enough to realize that old balls wear out, and new ones must be brought into play. He is ready to deal with this. The balance changes constantly, but it is still balance. Card number 5. What opportunity should I seize this month? And we have Ilb the Retriever. This is about the Office of Unclaimed Property, Hopes and Wishes. Loyalty. While writing this, I was having a little trouble with Ilb. Not for the first time. I couldn't find my keys anywhere. He thinks it would be greatly to my benefit to be more organized and tidy, so he smears not quite visible juice on things that are out of place, or he encourages the resident cats to hide things. Cats seem remarkably willing to cooperate with these little bits of fairy helpfulness. Then I have to hunt and hunt for them, and Ilb hopes I shall be more organized the next time. You may have encountered him in this guise. When he has done something like this, my son observes, he just looks at us with that, "Who? Me?" look. My son also advises, keep your eye on him, and whatever isn't nailed down. And if you scold or contradict him, he just gets huffy and insists on having his own way. This sort of busybody helpfulness is just one of Ilb's tasks, however. He also has more important things to do. Ilb is a protector. He retrieves and safeguards our lost hopes, forgotten dreams, and mislaid keys. My keys were under a stack of papers stuck to the floor with peach juice. Not a place that I'd put them myself, but certainly safe from most key thieves. He holds these seeds of our potential futures carefully and delicately until we are ready for their return. Sometimes we don't think we are ready for them, or we have given up hope altogether, and then he may arrange reminders for us, events or people in our lives that bring back memories of our past hopes and dreams. When that happens, we need to look at them again and consider how we might manifest them into reality. All right, my lovelies. Let's take a look at the bigger picture here. Card number 1. What is the challenge for this month? And we have the long. Ask yourself if you have been giving too much, and is it time to stop and attend to your own needs for a bit? Alternatively, ask yourself if you have been refusing to receive the bounty of the universe flowing through the Lom's hands, just because it wasn't in quite the form that you expected, or because it was from a different source than you wanted it to come from. Sometimes we put restrictions on our receiving. For example, we may feel that approval and love has to come from one specific person, or all other approval and love is without value to us. If so, we need to learn to accept what comes from any source as coming from a loving universe, blessed by the Lam's hands. Card number 2. What positive energies can I embrace this month? And we have Epona's wild daughter. Epona's wild daughter, Dorcha, is the Sphinx, whose riddles must be answered lest we otherwise be destroyed by our own internal conflicts. Dorcha reminds us that we cannot go forward until we have faced something buried within us that is holding us back. Her presence tells us that finding and working through this is a task of some urgency. We can expect help in this from other people, from the fairies, and from our dreams, but we must be open to these difficult questions and answers and be ready to face things about ourselves that are not as we would wish them to be. She urges us to heal the unresolved issues about who we really are and what we truly want to be. This is part of the required course in Self-Transformation 101, one that we are all enrolled in here on planet Earth. The answers to her riddles often come in a sudden burst of enlightenment, like the solution to a Zen koan. We may watch a leaf fall or catch a glimpse of the tiny sliver of the new moon in the sky and suddenly be hit by the answer. Before that happens, we usually work long and hard upon the question, searching and digging for an answer. The realization, when we really have it, will be transformative. We will no longer be the people that we once were. You don't like this interpretation? Well, I have been telling you all along that we, you and I, and everyone else, will all receive varying messages from the fairies in the cards. Yours may well differ from mine. Ask Dorcha what message she has for you, and don't be surprised if her answer is another question or riddle. She and I both wish you well in solving it, with all our hearts. Card number 3. What negative energies do I need to negotiate this month? And we have the Maiden. In the Maiden reversed, we find her virtues turned into flaws. When her energy is blocked, we don't allow ourselves to dream, to hope, even to plan a future that is anything but minimal and mundane. We live a cold, sterile, joyless life. When we twist her energy, we become impulsive, unthinking, gullible, lost in dreams that never get translated into reality. There is a tendency to live in fantasy and deny reality, and there is definitely a lack of grounding. Life in a floating soap bubble is perilous, and that is where she is. When living in a dream world has become habitual, the addiction to fantasy is hard to break. It cannot be changed from the outside by others, and even from the inside, there is usually no desire to break through into an unhappy reality until the fantasy world itself becomes too painful to live in any longer. When the Maiden's energy is seriously reversed, this card can indicate crippling pessimism, an attitude that when possessed means the possessor sees the worst in everything, expects the worst from life, and gets it. Such an attitude creates its own misery and denies one the possibility of joy. When such a powerful energy as the thrust toward joyful growth is inverted or twisted this way, it is still a powerful energy, and usually requires an equally powerful experience to break free of it. But there is always hope, and those outside the fantasy need to remember that, even while being realistic about the difficulties of changing this state, someone needs to be an adult here. Card number 4. What do I need to make time for this month? And we have undressing of a salad. Things are in motion, and the outcome is impossible to predict. A cool head is required to deal with this, as is a readiness to jump in whatever direction seems appropriate. Exercise cool judgment while staying ready for the unpredictable. Sudden changes of fortune may appear good or bad, but they are in flux and can be rechanneled if necessary. Develop poise, stay calm. You can come out a winner here, but it is likely to take concentrated effort. Use power with delicacy and discretion. Card number 5. What opportunity should I seize this month? And we have Ild the Retriever. Ild is trying to remind you of something you've lost, a hope, perhaps, or a dream. You may have thought it gone forever, but he is holding it out to you for reconsideration. He thinks you can do something with it now. The way may not be obvious, but his clever nose has scented a path, a potential opening for bringing this into your life. Sometimes Ild may be saying that a long-awaited dream is at last arriving on the scene, and there is nothing we need to do but open our hearts and minds to it. However, we usually have to work for it. Another attribute of Ild is loyalty. As a Leo myself, I know firsthand that the holidays can be a hard time for us. It's like we go from one extreme to the other, all while wearing a happy mask. We do tend to give until it hurts. We go over and beyond, always making sure we give the best gifts. Even though we should have probably saved some of that time and money and put it towards other things. But what's already happened is done, and so now we sit here, down and depressed, living in La La Land, daydreaming about the house we are going to buy, what college we are going to send our kids to, and how we are going to make that next $1 million, all while wearing that fake smile to the outside world. We're a proud, sometimes too proud, people. We refuse help from others because we can do it ourselves. But think about this. You know how great we feel when we help others. Well, maybe, just maybe, other people want to feel that greatness as well. So, we should let them. I know, we can do it ourselves. But what if their help is exactly what we need to snap us back into reality and put the balance back into our lives? Maybe do some shadow work this month. Ask yourself why it is so hard for you to allow others to help you. Keep an open heart and mind this month. Don't get down in the dumps. We got this, Leos. We can dig ourselves out of damn near anything. You've got this. I have faith in you. I hope that this reading has helped you and will help lead you and guide you throughout the month of January. If you do feel that it has helped you and that it will help someone else, please feel free to share this video. Sharing is caring. And if you would like a more in-depth and personal reading, you can go to my website at www.conjureknits.com and click on the link at the top of the page that says, Book a Reading. Oh, and by the way, did you know that you could have gotten this TarotScope up to 2 weeks before the general public? Oh yes, check out my Patreon for details. I will drop a link in the description box below. I hope you all have a very beautiful and amazing month. Love you bunches. Shalom.